I found the doll at a dusty antique shop on a Tuesday. It was sitting on a high shelf separate from the other items. It was a porcelain thing with a hand-painted face and faded blonde curls. Its eyes were a piercing, realistic blue that seemed to follow me. Something about it felt special, so I bought it for my daughter Chloe. The shopkeeper took my money with a quiet, grim expression. He wrapped the doll in brown paper without making eye contact. That night, I gave the doll to Chloe, who named her Annabelle. She was thrilled, immediately taking the doll to her room. An hour later, Chloe came downstairs, her face pale. She said Annabelle had blinked at her. I told her it was just a trick of the light. Later, I heard faint whispering from Chloe's room. When I opened the door, Chloe was fast asleep. The doll was sitting upright on the chair, facing her bed. I could have sworn I left it lying on the pillow. The next morning, Chloe complained of bad dreams about the smiling lady. I found the doll in a different corner of the room each day. My wife started complaining about the smell in Chloe's room. It was a faint scent of old perfume and dust. We dismissed it as the doll's antique nature. One night, the baby monitor crackled with soft humming static. It wasn't a tune I recognized, it was something old and slow. I went to check and the humming stopped the moment I opened the door. The doll was propped against Chloe's sleeping form. Its porcelain hand was resting on her arm. I started taking the doll out of the room after Chloe fell asleep. I'd lock it in the hall closet just to be safe. The next morning, it would always be back in her room. My wife insisted I was just forgetting to put it away. Then we started finding small, deep scratches on Chloe's arms. She said she didn't know how they got there. We set up a nanny cam, telling Chloe it was for security. That night, the camera feed glitched at exactly 3:07 a.m. For 3 minutes, the screen was just swirling static. When the picture returned, the doll had moved to the foot of the bed. Its head was tilted at an impossible angle facing the camera. Its painted smile seemed wider, sharper than before. I threw the doll in the outside garbage bin the next day. Chloe cried, but I told her it was broken. 2 hours later, the doll was back on her bed, perfectly clean. No one had been in the house. That's when the real fear set in. I decided to destroy it. I took a hammer from the garage, my hands shaking. I laid the doll on the workbench in the basement. As I raised the hammer, the basement light flickered and died. A small, clear giggle echoed in the darkness. It wasn't Chloe's voice. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight. The beam landed on the workbench. The doll was gone. From the top of the stairs, I heard a soft, dragging sound. I ran upstairs, my heart pounding in my ears. The house was silent. I checked on Chloe. She was sleeping peacefully. The doll was not in her room. I went back to the kitchen, trying to calm down. That's when I saw the small, muddy footprints on the floor. They were child-sized, leading from the basement door. They led directly to the foot of my chair. The air grew cold around me. I felt a gentle pressure on my shoulder. Like a small, cold hand was resting there. I froze, too terrified to turn around. A whisper right by my ear said, "We don't like hammers." I spun around, but there was nothing there. The footprints were already fading, as if sinking back into the floor. The next day, I tried to find the antique shop. It was gone, replaced by a vacant lot full of weeds. A neighbor said a shop had burned down there decades ago. An entire family had died in the fire, including a little girl. Her name was Annabelle. That night, the whispering started again in Chloe's room. This time, I heard 2 voices, Chloe's and another older one. They were having a conversation. I burst into the room and turned on the light. Chloe was sitting up in bed holding the doll. Her eyes were vacant, her smile unfamiliar. "We're playing," she said, but her voice was flat. I grabbed the doll from her hands. Its porcelain face felt warm, almost alive. Chloe screamed, a raw, piercing sound of protest. "Give her back," she shrieked, clawing at my arms. Her strength was unnatural. I ran to the fireplace and threw the doll into the cold grate. I poured lighter fluid on it and struck a match. As the flames caught, a high-pitched wail filled the house. It didn't sound like burning plastic, it sounded like a child screaming. The fire burned an unnatural, sickly green color. When it was over, only a pile of blackened porcelain remained. Chloe collapsed sobbing, back to her normal self. She had no memory of the events. We thought it was over. We cleaned the house, trying to erase the memory. A week later, a package arrived with no return address. Inside, wrapped in brown paper, was the doll. Its porcelain was flawless, its blue eyes bright and new. Tucked under its arm was a small handwritten note. The note read, "You can't get rid of family.